So if we chose to be here, we knew or we felt that we could make a difference, whether it be in our suffering or in our joy, whatever success or lack thereof, that it was going to make a difference. Because who would pick something so horrible, if you will, as a time of what we've seen, unless we knew that the outcome was positive. That in the end,
so just like when you're going out, your past life flashed before your eyes. When you coming in, your future life is laid out before your face. You would know how to navigate it better if they didn't shine them bright ass lights on you in the delivery room. Because you're supposed to birth a child in ambient light. This is why we need our doula centers back. They took all the doula centers and turned them into hospitality places. The places of hospitality to us used to be the whorehouse. So now we prostitute ourselves for medical research and don't even know it. That's why they always practicing, because they don't know what they're doing.
Wow. That's interesting.
That's why they so quick to snatch out uterus and chop off breasts. They call that desecration of the holy places. Each one of the women, when they self-realize, is a holy place. She is an entire temple dedicated to creation itself.
Churches are laid out as a woman's holy place, you know, when you coming down the aisle or going into the, you know, so yeah.
And Dr. Bean tell it like this. She said, heaven is between the legs of the black woman. That's what Dr. Bean tell you, because ain't nobody get in to earth without going through the portal of life.
Sure.
They can make many trans testicles as they want to. They can get them artificial everything. But when that womb of a natural born woman is going to naturally produce what they science is trying to reproduce.
Speaking of which, I just saw, thank you, Sister Fariel L. I know she's in the chat. She turned me on to yesterday to an season 10 of American Horror Story on Hulu. And so I looked at the last 4 episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think I shared just a little teeny bit with you. But in that, since you mentioned that, in that they have gone so far, they have this like this so-called experimentation, because they were trying to put hybrids on the earth that were part alien and part human and replace all the humans.
We all hybrids.
But this is what this thing, but they were impregnating men as well as women. So men their stomachs were growing in. So the one guy like, how is this thing going to come out? And basically it was cesarean. You know, they cut the stomach open.
Okay, but now what that's telling you is it's a parasite.
Well, it came out like the alien movie with the thing that. So.
It's a parasite. Men don't have a uterus. Men can't naturally have children and carry a baby to gestate.
Well,
but a parasite can grow under your skin without distinguishing your gender.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is look up bot flies, and it'll be in men and women, dogs and cats. It's a parasite.
Bot flies.
B-O-T, bot fly.
Oh, bot fly. Okay.
Yep. If you look them up on YouTube, you'll see them pull the parasite out, and they be in cats, they be in dogs, they be in people. But it's a fly lays egg under the skin, and it grows under the skin, and it becomes a huge node. They got to pull it out or let it mature and fly out on its own. But by the end, it can cause you so many problems that you probably won't make it through the body's attempt to discard the bot fly.
And that's funny. Not strange. It's called a bot fly because almost you think of robots or something that's not human or you know, whatever. But yeah, but they're, you know, and that for those of you who have not seen that, America, again, I guess, thank you, Sister Fariel L. But that episode, season 10, episodes 7, 8, and 9, they're really, I was telling you, dropping real historical information. It's Eisenhower, who was his vice president? I think it was Nixon. After JFK is in it, and the other one,
LBJ,
Marilyn Monroe, all the stuff we saw happen, and it's it's tied in with some really wild stuff. You just got to see it to fathom it. But we know that they put truth out in movies. They mix it with fiction, but it's a lot of truth in there, and they'll sometimes make things seem so incredulous. And you're like, oh, that was just no. That was, you need to look at it with a more critical eye, because there are, it's a karmic thing for them. Like we told them, they may think it's entertainment, but we told them. We don't have to tell them that we're telling them. We put it in movies. We are the entertainment industry, and that's what I was trying to say. All these things, these distractions, looking at shows and series, it's always been tied, to mind control.
Yeah, well, they did a movie in the 50s about the CIA infiltrating the news media. I'm not sure if it was the Maltese Falcon or another movie, but it's a famous movie from the 50s, and it's about they learned it from Operation Paperclip. It was a Hitler propaganda technique, because they didn't know how to use media for propaganda at that time. That's why when you go back and you look at old clips of people talking in lectures from the 50s, they telling you the flat out truth. Whereas you listen to them in the 70s and the 60s, now they starting to tell you bald-faced lies as if you're too stupid to see through it.
Many were. Many were. Yeah, many were. Are you up for, before we close, are you up for some questions? Because there have been questions that, I don't know if you were looking at the chat, but there were some questions that popped up. I know there was one question that was up a couple times asking you to explain further about who Big Mama is. And when I hear you say Big Mama, it seems like you're calling Big Mama in the etheric realm is sort of like Gaia, or like we say, the mother of everything, and then Big Mama, like everybody has a Big Mama,
So everybody's Big Mama is a replica of Prime Creator.
Okay.
Right? We all know her because she flat out tell you what she feels. She don't care. Fuck your feelings. I'm gonna tell you, you need to go wash your stinking ass. Right? So I don't care if you get your feelings hurt. I shouldn't have never had to tell you. Right? Or Big Mama say, that's not how you raise that child. If you raise that child that way, you're gonna have a predator when you get older. Right? Big Mama.
Right.
The one take her shoe off and throw it across the room and bop you upside your head when you ain't listening. Big Mama. She behaves that way because she's the embodiment in the physical form of Prime Creator, who be telling you what's right, and don't have no regard for your emotions, because your emotions is only your navigation system. You ain't supposed to live in your emotions. You're supposed to read them to the cause, and they ain't really hurt nobody. Let them say nay all they want to. They're going to find out in the end I'm right. And I did everything according to the law of the land to reclaim the land from the de facto government. They don't know what to do. So I have to do it, because there's nobody else that knows what to do. But when they mentioned me fighting for Larry, I've been telling them the whole time I'm a GD. They say I never met Larry. How many GDs do you know that has? He been locked up most of our lives. They got GDs right now that's 8 years old. Bang hard for that shit.
And he's been locked up since he was 17?
I don't know, he's been locked up 50-something years.
That's still a long time. That's still a long time.
Yeah, it is. But that don't take away the loyalty for the chief. That's my chief. Period. So I'm going to fight for my chief because it's right. Right? And if they don't like it, that's their business. You know what I'm saying? But as long as, I don't mind. People got an absolute right to disagree with me. This is what they don't get. This is why my feathers don't get ruffled. If I expect everybody everywhere I go to agree with me, I'll be a goddamn fool. Right? And I don't have to agree with everybody either. The only thing we really need to be agreeing on right now is we organic to the land. We got an invader here that's occupying the land as if we not here. And the only remedy we have is somebody with the blood ties to the land and the right to overthrow the system to speak up and put it in the public domain. Right? I don't got to do nothing else. I already did the work. I'm just telling everybody the work been done, right? I'm telling them the legal goodbye letter from the corporation is the Indigenous Rights Act. It's the same as them writing the little note saying, it's been our pleasure oppressing y'all for the last 400 and something years. But due to what this nigga over here doing, we can't stay. Love to oppress y'all more, but we have to go now. That's the same thing. That's the summary of what the Indigenous Rights Act is. Right? So once all of these things come in, like they wasn't talking about the Indigenous Rights Act in the Moorish community a year ago.
How long has it been out? Because I literally just came across it this year when you mentioned it.
Yeah, the first one came out, I think it was like 2014 United Nations.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, come on. And the other one was 2017 for the United States.
That's still a while ago. And people just now hearing about it.
No, it's certain people that's heard about it, but when I start explaining to them what it is, more people start to investigate it. They didn't know what it was.
I refilled that big little thing down there with those.
Okay, good looking at you.
My pop's tied in the food from the turkey jungle.
There's no more cans. This was the last can.
Okay.
My fault, y'all. I ain't mean to hide the comments. Some comments I gotta click show. I changed the settings later. My fault, guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we can go to the next question now.
Second question was, where's she at? From Sister Solaris. So what can we do in our communities to get the ball rolling?
Get as many of the elder women together as you can, and y'all become your city council. The mayor position is a matriarch position. That's why it's called mayor. Mayor is a female horse. And the March of the Mayors always lead the culmination of a meeting of the grants with the grand matriarch. Right? Now they don't do it that way. In their system, the mayor doesn't have the stroke that they used to have. Your mayor, all of the mayors in a territory, they call them states now. So all the mayors in the state used to go to the capital to meet with the grand matriarch of that territory or state. They call it a governor, right? The governor is the meaning of the Ottoman term bey, right? So the governor normally had a governor and lieutenant governor, which was a matriarch and a chief. The matriarch was the governor, the chief was the lieutenant governor who presented everything to the public. Right? Now, when all of the grand matriarchs from every territory come together, right, they form a different council. We call it a Senate or Congress. Right? That's the de facto corporation's version of it. Right? But we used to call it the meeting of the matriarchs or the matriarchal council, the council of the grand matriarch, depending from which part of the land we came from.
So another question tying into community is, so what should we as the daughters of tribes be doing? Does that just go back to the whole becoming city council?
Right. It goes back to the same thing. So in every city that we got a large population, we got churches. The Baptist church, the Protestant churches that's incorporated with our culture are what we call Holy Ghost churches, where they shout. And they all have a group of women called prayer warriors and church mothers, right? Each church pick a church mother and gather all of the churches. If you have a large Islamic presence, each one of them pick a Ummah or Ummi, Ummi Islam or Ummi Dar Islam. That means the mothers of Islam, right? And they will form a council, and then the leader of them will connect with the leader of the church mothers, This don't no longer have anything to do with religion.
Mm.
We destroying religion by instituting spirituality, just like they destroyed spirituality by instituting religion.
Mm.
Right? So then we teach the sisters Sufism, because that's the ancient power source. It tells them how to turn the mitochondria on and how to turn it up to full capacity, and it changes the frequency of the whole planet. So they wasn't allowed to take it from us, but they got men practicing it. The men can artificially raise their mitochondrial frequency, but it won't last when they leave unless it's with a woman. So when you see the Sufis doing their ceremonies, they are actually doing what you call mitochondrial activating ceremonies. The whirling dervishes, that's comes from figure skating, spinning around on the ice, right? They just do it with no skates on. All of those things is designed to activate the energy field of the woman. Every woman is a Tesla coil when she's balanced, right? And the man become the battery pack. When you put the battery with the Tesla coil, y'all become a remote control for y'all manifest reality.
Mm.
What's the next one?
Next one is, what about the islands? What is our rights in this process?
The islands are ahead of us. They already ousting the rulership of the crown of England. They're getting from under the rule of the fake queen, and each island is supposed to have their own queen, their own grand matriarch or island mother. They used to have that until the invaders came.
Before I say the next one, speaking on the islands, you posted yesterday, speaking on Arawak and the Taino.
Yeah.
I was happy to see that.
Yeah, so those are some of the biggest tribes. You also had your Boricua,
Mm-hmm.
and a few more of them that made up the islands. The islands was resorts for us. You know how they use them for tourism now?
Yeah.
Well, you wasn't allowed to be a tourist on the island without bringing gifts to the matriarch. And she would send you back home to give your matriarch gifts. This is how we know our culture's been usurped. Because now people just go to the island with no regard for the people of the island.
Mm.
Right? So when the tribe would do a family vacation from up here, Big Mama would say, don't go down there without taking this with you. And she'd give you a whole bunch of whatever, food stuffs that, whatever that island doesn't naturally produce that they can benefit from, that's what we would send them. And then they would send us what we call the delicacies of the island, which is their exotic fruits and their exotic arts and crafts. And they would send that back for Big Mama. And then Big Mama would give gifts out of those packages a lot of times. Right? So that was in our culture. We never went to nobody's house without bearing gifts until they gave us a Bible.
That damn Bible. Whatchamacallit, where can the Nubian men go that want to tribe up in North Carolina?
Y'all, somebody have to be the spearhead, the first one to start it. Right? That goes for anywhere. Somebody had to be the first one to start it in the local area. You know, it could be rallied around a farmer's market, or it could be rallied around a religious institutional building, but you're going to overthrow religion by instituting spirituality. Most of the so-called Muslims, that's the converts of the last 50 years, they already know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the Christians that used to be like Malcolm, the Vernon Johns Christians, are now Martin Luther King Christians. Martin Luther King used a military strategy adopted from Mahatma Gandhi called civil disobedience. That means you can't tell us what the fuck to do. We're going to go where we want. It's our land. We're not listening to a de facto corporation issue us orders. Right now, we at the point where if the chiefs don't start stepping up and organize, it all start with the family. Because they wanted to give us a one world currency from a centralized bank that was stationed in Switzerland. We don't want that, because that means that they still holding our wealth hostage. We want them to get the fuck gone and we can handle our own wealth. Well, in continuity of government, they are right now organizing how to divide up the wealth among family banks to decentralize the centralized banking system used to steal our wealth. Right? So if you're going to decentralize it, you have to put back the original structure. So that's what we're working on. So somebody, anywhere you at, have to be the spearhead. You have to be the first one to start organizing your local area. Right? I'm just telling everybody, all of the biggest chiefs, male and female, across the land are all on the same page. And my job is to inform the grassroots that we finna step back into the power. But not only are we stepping back into power, we reclaimed all our wealth. And we have the military support of the most powerful military in the world to enforce it for us when we claim our power. The only thing we waiting on now is critical mass of awareness that the old system is gone. Be aware that the old system is gone. Be aware that our system returns to oral tradition. And we put things in the public domain so we don't do that secret squirrel shit and motherfuckers selling you out behind your back. Yeah.
I put a little bit more water in it. This is called
Appreciate you, nephew. Right. So the organizing effort, the cheat sheet, right? Everybody, like, you can't mention tribing up to them. You just tell them that you want to be counted among the righteous, and you can talk to anybody in the Nation of Islam.
All right, so this one, it's like a statement in a comment. He says the Black community is already under matriarchy and things ain't looking good at all. When y'all speak about patriarchy, it'd be a good idea to separate European from indigenous patriarchy. The land is under European patriarchy, not indigenous. If we were matriarchal, that means that we got conquered under matriarchy. Critical thinking is crucial. Both matriarchy and patriarchy are one-sided. The two together make a whole. The latter is the solution, not the formers. And that was the end of that.
He partially right. And matriarchy did get overthrown. That's why we in this fucked up condition. And it was overthrown by women who wanted their mate to be rulers of the world. They come from a whole different psychological makeup than matriarchal people. What we perceive in this matriarchy, and this is why he's talking about two sides of the same coin. That's European matriarchy and European patriarchy. The European matriarchy is the woman has to manipulate her man into position to do what's necessary, right? Under our matriarchy, it's not about the man or the woman. It's about the children and the future. So when we start looking at the difference, he's looking at feminism as patriarchy, a matriarchy. Feminism is a patriarchal in-run around matriarchy. That's how they overthrew the matriarchy, because the sisters they deceived didn't know the difference, right? Because they was under the cultural conditioning of running the tribe a certain way. And when a threat comes, the chief stands out front. Right? So we can't mix feminism with patriarchy because they're not the same thing. With matriarchy. Patriarchy and feminism, European patriarchy, is the flip side of the feminist movement. And European patriarchy requires you to subjugate potential heirs by anally penetrating them, making them unfit to rule. That's why they're pushing a gay agenda. The ruler can't be anally penetrated. And his semen can't be found in another man.
That's deep. That was it from the comment section. When I had started the live earlier, there were like 3 questions, new ones. So
let's get to them.
Touch on that real quick. Somebody asked, do we stop enrollment into the schools and colleges? Do we stop all signing of any consent forms, period?
I've been screaming, take your children out of educational system because they're using it to train us for prison and labor. It's the slave training system, modern education. We have to disassociate in order to take the education of our children into our hands and educate them to be free, independent, self-sufficient, and free thinkers. The system we are under is diametrically opposed to any of that. So the short answer is, yeah, kill the educational system. It's a couple things holding them in power right now. One is the contract with the W-2s and W-4s through the IRS. I mean, people are going to work every day. That's because they operating on a per diem basis. That's being by the day.
Yeah.
So when a certain amount of people clock in a 24-hour period to a job, that's where they derive in the next day's wager from. Right? And the educational system is the secondary contract because you're signing your child up to be subjugated by the de facto corporation, which is actually 2 corporations that merged, the Northwest Trading Company and the Virginia Company. Both of them were slave trading companies.
Yeah, so to answer y'all question, y'all should have been enrolled them yesterday ago. What should we call it? What do we need to do to get rid of birth certificates and social security card hold over people who have yet to proclaim a nationality or haven't linked back to their indigenous tribes as of yet?
So what we have to do is call abandonment of the contract. We have to abandon the contract because they have never honored a single contract and they had no intentions of honoring them. So that makes the contract become fraud. And that's a criminal action under the law of the land. And the only remedy for the one that discovers the fraud, where it's not to be party to it, is to abandon the contract. I mean, just stop using anything, driver's license, birth certificates, social security cards, anything that require that. Skip it.
All right. To piggyback off of that, if you was to, you out driving and you get stopped and you want to start implementing what you just said and you don't have your driver license, what would people do in that moment?
Well, until we reach critical mass, they still in power. They still in power until we kick them out of power.
Okay.
And the naysayers is what's holding them in power right now. The ones that don't know no better. They are the most deceived bunch right now. So until we see 3 kings walking on the land, they still in power. So they can still harass you and give you a hard time, but none of this shit is legitimate. They're all operating in a de facto capacity. They all know this. The police know this at the higher levels, but the foot soldier police don't know shit. All they did was went to school, got a diploma, took them a couple of years of pre-law or criminal law, and then they joined the academy and became a cop. You don't need a PhD to be a police officer, right? So all you need to know is the people versus, Miranda versus New Mexico, right? Which is your Miranda rights. and you need to know the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And after that, the rest of it, they wing it. They winging it. They winging it like a motherfucker because they don't know. And when you run across one that knows he's not gonna treat you, he's not gonna bully you, right? But as long as we leaving them in power, they got the jurisdiction to, or at least they have the appearance of jurisdictions enough to make you uncomfortable for a while. But don't nobody want to voluntarily be uncomfortable where they can control it for a little while to be free for eternity. So they all want to go along to get along with the system.
This next one, which is pretty much the last question that I had typed up, if anybody had like maybe 2 or 3 more, a matter of fact, there was one in the comments. So why do our men promote rape culture in jail?
Because they gay. Seriously, when you can't promote something that ain't part of who you are. I don't support rape culture. I did 16 years. I don't fuck with boys.
Yeah, real men ain't promoting that shit.
Yeah, the ones that's pushing that shit is gay.
There you go. Who said that? I'm not even about to butcher your name. This question was, if I file a 1099, does that mean I'm back in contract?
Yep. You contracting with the Internal Revenue Service. Those are internal documents. Right? But the 1099 before January the 4th was the smartest course of action to navigate the contract. Now that the contract is up, we don't want none of it. See, we went from navigating the contract. This is what Taj was teaching us for so long, how to navigate the contract, right? And if you understood what he was teaching, then you could have navigated the contract during its life. As of January the 4th, 2019, the contract ended. When the contract ended, now everybody that's trying to use the navigation process is actually making it worse for themselves because they recontracted with a dead entity.
Nobody saying nothing in the comments for any questions. So just to reflect back from the beginning, the declaration is nothing but the goodbye letter, letting us know if we step up, they just stepping out the way. And abandon the contract. Anything, Social Security, birth certificate, driver license, 1099s, W-2s, all that. Anything that links back to them, just abandon it.
Right. So the biggest entries that they using is the contract for education with the children, the contract for labor with the jobs, and the what they call judicial contracts, which is court claims. People calling the police on motherfuckers. Don't call the police on that nigga, beat his motherfucking ass.
If we live in Mexico, how can I cross my family into America without a passport?
Wait till you see the Three Kings, because we're gonna do away with that shit instantly. Because California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Texas, all that's Mexico. That's all part of one land territory. That's part of the same territory. It wasn't until the Mexican-American War that they divided that up. And that's why Texas had to reserve the right to become an independent nation once the contract was up. So Texas can go back, it can divide up into as many as 5 nations.
Sheesh.
You know, that's gonna stay in their contract, in their constitution of the state until it go back to territory. Right? The wealth of Mexico is equivalent of the wealth of the Middle East. Why are all those people starving?
Holy shit.
Just what you do, and it's gonna be good. This gonna be a good little checkup. Check oil levels of Mexico, like oil production, mineral production, gross domestic product, gross national product, and you're gonna be surprised. You know, you're not gonna understand why the people poor.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Equivalent to the Middle
Mexico is like
East?
one of the top 20 oil producing nations in the world.
I didn't know that. The only thing I knew was what, for like the past 50 years, the US been mining oil over here, but they can only
And they've been
borrow against
holding it
it.
in surplus. Right.
Yeah.
So that's because they're not allowed to trade it because it ain't theirs, it's ours. And since they can't trade it, they had to hold it in reserve, and then they can borrow against it to run the government. We ain't supposed to be paying taxes. Taxes has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, that's robbery right there. Getting taxed on everything.
Well, the IRS was a private corporation with a board of directors that don't even live in this country.
What?
So we talking about taxation without representation. Wasn't that what the Boston Tea Party that set it all off was about?
Exactly.
Yeah, that was
Damn.
actually the Boston Tea Party was when they claimed we crashed into their ship with our landmass and captured us under admiralty law and used the squatters' rights to insert it beyond the 10 square mile jurisdiction of the disputed territory or the crash site dispute.
So even those affidavits are set up too, because this shit popping up everywhere about the bills process.
Look,
and
all you have to do, like we doing now on this live, is reserve all your rights in the public domain. It's time-stamped and dated on social media. That's why we can use social media, right? Because even though you have to sign an agreement to access it, most of us accessed it before the contract expired, right? Once the contract expired, it nullified all of the contracts that's contingent upon.
And that's like the things that we need to focus on, either really individually, because if we all individually are prepared, then as a community, we all have.
I want certain stuff. I want my children to want for it to the point where they feel that they can work for it and they can earn what it is that they don't have that they want. And that's going to teach them two lessons. Ain't nobody better than you, but you ain't better than nobody else. And if you see something that you really want, it's going to require you to perform or to do certain efforts in order to attain that. If you just want a motherfucker to pass you something because of who you is, then you in the wrong house. You better take your ass down the street. And that house of entitlement, yeah, they trading titles on that motherfucker on a regular basis.
That's a good one. You got all the good stuff.
So, yeah. So, so I don't want my children to be suffering with poverty, but I also don't want stuff so easy where they don't have no grit, where they can't bounce back from shit. These the softest motherfuckers I ever could imagine to be on earth right now in this time. When we grew up, we used to get ass whoopings and whoop ass.
But you know, it's that tablet. It's that tablet. It's that phone. It's those video games that we, you know, guilty as charged, tell them to go play on so we can have a moment instead of engaging with them. They're not outside having life experience with each other and interactions with each other. So we have to start doing that again. Like with my sons, when they come over, they get annoyed with me, but we're going to play a board game. And I know it seems real simple and like I'm not really teaching them life, but it's just even those interactions that build character and kind of build resolve and strategy. Just, you know, something simple. It's
Look, when you sit them down to the board game next time, explain this to them. Life got rules, and ain't nobody gonna teach them to you.
see, and that's the thing that I feel like.
Hold on. These board games is a game with a set of rules that can apply somewhere else in life later on if you learn the rules to this game. You practice it so that you understand how this game works. So when you see it play out in real life, you know how to win that game in real life. So you think we playing board games, but really I'm giving you tools to go in to the world and come out successful. This is why I'm teaching you how to play Monopoly, because it's always a motherfucker gonna try to monopolize on everything you do. So you need to be able to see the game before you ever learn how to play the game in business. So we teach you to play it in a board game.
Right.
Right? And the more board games that you learn as a child, the more tools you have to navigate life with through the path of least resistance, meaning not getting beat to death by life.
Right. Even like with Connect Four, like just teaching them to slow down and look at what the play is going to be, trying to have like predictive, thought process or programming in a sense, like what is this person's strategy? That alone is a tool for life.
Yeah. See, like I like to tell my son about stories about people like Attila the Hun and Genghis Khan. They saying once upon a time it was this guy named Attila, and I'll go into like leadership strategies of Attila the Hun to share with him little things that can be given to him in story format at an early age that will sink into his mind to the point where it'll become part of his original program. So now he's a natural born strategist because he already know about Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Hannibal, Muhammad Ahmed, Shaka Zulu. He know about the great strategists of history at an early age because dad gave them to him as little stories to tell him while we was on our drive to go fishing.
Right. And he's going to remember all of that information too. Like, we have to get back to storytelling, like, and really also like we have to get back to listening to the elders when they speak and not really, and not ignoring them or not being like, oh, I don't really rock with that elder because they look this way or that way. Like when
right, well, they weaponized the age. They created ageism.
That too.
To make the youth think that the older people, oh, that old motherfucker don't know nothing. And the youth, and now the old people feel about the youth, somebody need to go do something with them little wild ass motherfuckers. The disconnect come in because when, like I said the other day, I was telling the story about at Big Mama house, she got uncles that still stay there, old as hell, probably left, got married, divorced, came back home to Big Mama house, right? But when it's time for the family to pass out the food, they have a harvest festival, which turns out to be a family reunion. All of the women that's part of the cooking committee, they go straight to the kitchen. All of the ones that's in charge with setting up the table and shit, they go straight to the dining room. Don't nobody got to tell them when they get out the car, they ain't seen each other in 5 years. They know exactly where to go.
Right.
Right? Because they done been to Big Mama house. They know how shit run. Right? If you don't know what to do, go ask your Aunt Ruby. She gonna send you down there to your Uncle Cleve, and he gonna take y'all where they cleaning the fish at and show y'all how to make sure y'all know how to clean some fish when y'all come back to Big Mama house next year. Right? So they use the family members to teach the history of the family around family functions. That's why they don't want us gathering. They don't want our families having family reunions. They discourage it because as soon as we figure out enough of us in one family, we ain't came on no goddamn boat. One of these niggas gonna say, hey, y'all contract is up. The date was this. We came back for every fucking thing you son of a bitches took, plus motherfucking interest and tax, and you have to go now.
Mm.
And that's exactly what happened. Because since we didn't have a family reunion, I had to go live with different family members in order to get that part of the family's piece to the puzzle to put the family back together.
Mm.
So I went to stay with members of both sides of the family, my mama's side and my daddy's side. They all, I'm the most loved, most respected, or the most despised and most rejected.
Mm.
So since I'm the most loved and respected out of all of the motherfucking despised and rejected, that make me be the black sheep out of all of the black sheep that the black sheep love the most. And that's how you get to be a chief on the land.
But that's the other thing is like, because, okay, so how can I put this in words? We have to have enough humility to be able to see our elders and respect them as such, because people are appointed for a reason in the season, and you have to respect that. You have to respect your position and play your position, and everybody's not a chief. Some of us are Indians, and you got to be okay with that. And you got to knock that jealousy out the window. And, you know, for anybody who doesn't have that big mama or that family to go to, then you got to start looking for those role models and elders to have that family reunion with.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of us hold on to childhood grudges that if you was an adult, you would have made a similar decision yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All things being considered. But people hold on to the childhood grudges.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, like, I don't blame a molested child for never forgiving their molester.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna never tell them to do that. But for the kid that got the ass whooped for being a little badass kid, you probably didn't get enough ass whooping. That's probably why you ended up where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got no motherfucking sympathy for that shit. It's part of life.
But that's where accountability comes in, because you have to be able to say where you did wrong and where you did right, where you fell short and where you succeeded or exceeded. But you have to
Right, and that's the part of shadow work that everybody fear. Because when they realize that they ain't no better than you, then they trying to put you down, that means that they really was putting themselves down the whole time.
Right. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I was like, you know, giving the analogy of Moesha, like in doing that healing work. You know, when we talk about the flipping, that healing work is important because all of that muck, it fucks with your decision making skills.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do the shadow work. You can't run from it.
Yeah.
Because really, you're running from the light when you run from the shadow work.
Don't nobody want to say, look, we drive up to the stop sign at the same time. Motherfucker scream out the window, stupid motherfucker. Right? We both just pulled up to the fucking stop sign. And we both stopped. Who is really the stupid motherfucker? Why do I even need to respond at that point? He just proved that he was the one who was really the stupid motherfucker.
Yeah.
He was mad because he wanted to run the stop sign, but when he seen me stopping at the stop sign, he knew he couldn't run it because it's a possibility I might run it.
Mm-hmm.
So now he got to stop. And since we both stopping, it's my fault that he had to stop when he wanted to run the stop sign. So his natural presumption is that I'm the stupid motherfucker, when he's the stupid motherfucker for being mad because he had to stop at a stop sign.
Right.
You knew it was a stop sign there before you got there,
He forgot the
motherfucker.
rules of the engagement. He wanted to ignore them. You can't ignore the rules. In nature, when you ignore the rules, there's two things, life or death. In nature, when an animal ignores the rule of the kingdom, it's a consequence. Animals in nature I love so much because they live
Hey,
life
look,
in the natural way that life is supposed to be lived.
I'm about to say some racist ass shit.
No.
This the truest shit a motherfucker could say. All you gotta do is watch these white people. He's just a little cute grizzly bear, only 400 pounds. Let me hug him. He's wild. He's never seen humans before. I know I can hug this motherfucker. Nigga, you gonna go sit your ass down somewhere?
Look.
What's that, 10 swords?
Yeah, the bear is gonna kill your ass. No.
Hell yeah. Hey, look, that's a confirmation like a
That's
motherfucker.
funny. Spirit is funny. Spirit is funny. Spirit got jokes. And that's why I think sometimes we lose compassion because Spirit got a sense of humor. And that's why we laugh at a lot of things that are painful. But we gotta reel that in because like maybe I don't know where that started, but that lack of compassion, man, it creates so much other shit because you laugh at somebody going through some pain and now they giving you the evil eye.
Mm-hmm. But the lack of compassion was taught to us.
Right.
It took harsh circumstances with no relief in order to make us not care what your struggle was. That means that they had to stop us from helping each other overcome the struggle to build a barrier between us.
Right.
You seen me struggling, trying to change the flat tire, and you kept going.
Right.
Right? You know what you saw. You know what you felt by keep going, and you ignored all that shit in order to not offer aid and assistance. Right? So when you see me again and you changing your flat, I remember when you drove past me.
Right. But see, the fucked up part, like you said earlier, is like when you found out that the people who did us dirty look just like us. It's like we're all mad at each other, thinking that it was each other, and really it was them. Like
The
you
whole
said, the
time.
separation, the whole
Yeah.
time, and they are banking on the fact that we'll have that prejudice and separation in our minds so deep that we'll knock each other off. Then it can release the robots.
So when you review history, look at the public display, right? When you look at the images from parades of the UNIA and the activities of the MSTA in 1920s, you see all our faces. We all hanging out of windows and shit. We knew who we was, but we didn't know what to do about it. Right? Now, when you get in the 50s and we start talking Rosa Parks, refusing to get up on the bus, marching with King, you see a sea of pale faces right in there with brown faces. When you go back and research all of the uprisings, you see that all of the ones that look like us, Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, etc., was egged on by a pale-skinned European to get their freedom back. And one of them, I think it was Gabriel Prosser, had the quartermaster general who had access to the armory, bringing him the key to the armory to arm the people to fight against the rebellion. I mean, against the invader. Then some nigga told the enemy, told on the pale face, and told on Gabriel Prosser. It's in the books. It's not a secret.
A sellout.
Yeah. Every single one of those attempts where that we were being egged to get out of this condition by pale faces, we was betrayed by melanated, woolly-haired faces.
Hmm.
All of the ones on record. The only one that wasn't betrayed immediately was Tucson. When they murdered him, that's when they uh, infiltrated.
Hmm. That was a stronghold.
Right. And now they don't want to close the conjure because that means that they lose all power.
Mm-hmm.
They got to close the Haitian conjure, and Haiti keep getting hit with shit because they got an open war conjure that's over 200 years old. At the close of the age, that shit has to be closed out.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. What can I
But
do
there's
for
some
the
motherfuckers that look like us that's trying to stop everything.
Mm-hmm.
They can't stop nothing though. You know they is. It ain't no secret no more. The secret that they had ain't no secret no more. Now they exposed to the public. Now they got to get exposed publicly.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them. I don't got no sympathy for them
But why did they do it?
because they wanted to claim Earth for their own. They ain't from here.
So,
They was
okay.
a different species, similar to
No, so
us,
I know that.
from a different type of universe.
Okay, so I know that. So then when they came here, they had to take the form of
The
like
highest evolutionary
that.
um, organism on the planet, which
Yes.
was the melanated,
Yes. Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
right?
That makes sense. And we were peaceable people, just like in the Bible when they talk about what was it? Was it Babylon? No.
Look,
Before
we
Babylon?
still warriors, right? But we had ran out of wars to fight
Right.
because we had got so intelligent that war was like asinine, foolish, and childish.
We had come to that
That's how it
level of
evolved,
right
right?
consciousness.
So the golden age has to bring this back to the surface so that we know the level of potential our mind have in order to move into a golden age again.
Hmm.
Because that's where we're going. And the sun cycle brings the golden age.
Hmm.
In the Jubilee year, 2022 is the Jubilee year. It's the final closing out of all of the contracts that held people hostages and enslaved.
Hmm.
By the close of the year, there will be no more contracts that's open.
Hmm.
They'll all be closed. And the only thing we're going to have to work on is getting Haiti to close that war contract.
Okay. So I had a dream a long time ago, and it was of Oya. And so I know that they're a dying breed, but it's just like um, the reason why I pitch community and unity so hard is because, like you said, they separated us and they lied to us so we could fight off each other and kill off each other. But that artificial intelligence and like that, everybody is so big on having the newest Tesla and all of these things. Like, I hate to sound so old school, but I just feel like um, that's their last hoorah.
Okay, so what they did, this is what make it difficult for us to face the short struggle we gonna go through. We gonna get this struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gonna get this work.
Mm-hmm. Because it has to be
Yeah,
in
ain't no
plans anyway. So it's like,
the level of your preparedness gonna determine how much of this work your ass gonna get.
yes, sir.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So when the system shut down, don't say we didn't tell you. Don't say you didn't have a chance to prepare, because I've been telling motherfuckers for 3 fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I laid down the structure of the fall so that motherfuckers don't step into the road and a building drop on his head. Right? This shit is over with. But in the process of it, you still got to clean up the old shit before you break out the new shit.
Right.
Because you need to know what part of the old shit has to go and what parts you can use even if it's temporarily. Because you got to use anything that's useful.
Right.
And anything that's not useful, you discard that shit. This is why we say no more GMOs in the food.
And
Right?
mm-hmm.
So they burning down the factories, they're making the GMO food. One of the Gates motherfucking manufacturing facilities just burned up overseas yesterday. You know, so we not watching those little events like that, like Rome on fire, you know, the time, the date, what's going on in the world politically, what's going on across the land socially, right? If you don't pay attention to that stuff, you can't see it. But if you see it, the people that's not paying attention is going to say that you don't see what you're telling them because they can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the glasses on.
Yeah.
And somebody said, don't forget to read that card. You must have
There
pulled
was
You pulled a card?
yeah, I have been. You know, just when like I was talking, stuff was coming out confirming, but